and open the meeting and call the meeting to order in the courthouse of the conference room. First question I'm going to ask is, any public notice been posted or anything?
At noon, it was posted on the bulletin board in the lobby.
Okay. Yeah, we have the agenda in front of us, and just so we're aware, under Chapter 21.4 of the Open Meeting Law, that if good cause exists, that notice of the agenda need not apply the 24 hours. And I'm going to go ahead and have you give us an explanation of why we don't need this.
Okay, I've asked for an emergency meeting for the Board of Supervisors I'm going to give you a briefing and update on the severe weather situations we've been having in Hardin County. And what I would like to do is see some action on signing an emergency declaration that I can turn into the state of Iowa governor's office to see if we can get some assistance with state resources in here to help us out. So that's why we didn't have time to give 24-hour notice. With the situation rolling as it is, I've got a lot of debris to start clearing up, some other situations, and so in my mind, it was better to just go ahead and ask for the meeting and get things, the declaration signed, so I can get those things moving in the process.
What's the emergency? Go ahead. You haven't given me anything yet.
Lead you into it. Okay, I have given you all a preliminary damage assessment briefing sheet that we're going to go by. I have invited Wes, the conservation director. We've been working, collaborating closely in the last couple of weeks during all this, and also the county engineer's office. Apparently they're running a little late. But I want to update you on the situation, the weather situation, and the impact here in Hardin County. And so basically the time frame, this whole event started around June 14th with all the different rains, heavy rains we've had causing the flooding and the rivers to rise. We've had some repeat where we'll go down and come back up. During this time, the conservation director, and we will let him speak to, has had to close the parks for a period of days for safety purposes and the access. So we've done that. And then going on through the disaster, on the evening of June 29th, we had heavy rainfall and estimated winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. And actually, the National Weather Service just confirmed about a half an hour ago that I had done some damage assessment and sent down to them. They came down and confirmed that we had an ESF1 tornado. I did it down by Shepherd Cemetery, and you'll see the track that I've put on this map here. So there's some damage down there and debris. Then through yesterday, we had a couple of more hits with some severe weather, and during that we had very high wind, torrential rain, some hail. The cities of Union, New Providence, Hubbard, and Radcliffe were affected. Extensive damage with downed trees, damage to roofs and buildings they were without power. I believe most of that is up now in those areas. So it's at the point where I've done the damage assessment, and I just don't have enough resources here to help me to coordinate all this debris removal and everything. I want to ask for an emergency declaration to be signed and sent to the governor's office so that, again, we can get some help on that. As far as procedures, I've been in contact with the city and county officials to determine the level of damage and the impact on public safety. We've been fortunate we've had no injuries during this time. Also done my initial windshield assessment of the area that was most severely impacted. I've been in contact with the National Weather Service and the State Office of Emergency Management Division. I asked for this emergency meeting again so that we can get that declaration signed and get that rolling. As far as safety and accessibility, we're going to talk to the county engineer and conservation on some of that, but I have had no injuries reported. Protective measures, again, the conservation director evacuated the campgrounds and closed those at one point. We sent a press release out on that. There was one person that I've been in contact with who does live very close to the water, and before it was rising, I was in contact with him. I won't say his name on a public meeting, but he was asked, or advised that he should probably self-evacuate. We did not have an evacuation order. We haven't done anything like that, but I had been in contact with him. He knew the situation to self-evacuate on that. There's been sandbagging operations going on In Union, where we're having problems with the lift station in Lagooning, because of it lying so close to the river, where it leaches out is inundated with water, so it ends up backing up into the residents' houses, and so they've been trying to stay on top of that with extra pumps down there, pumping that even further. They did that through the night, so those are some of the operations and sandbagging that was going on. Asked the county engineer to be present and give his report. The only thing that I actually can give you is the list of road closures that have been going on due to the water over the road. So you have that list also that I've given you. As far as utilities, again, we had electric service disrupted due to down power lines and trees. Mostly affected areas were Union, New Providence, some of the outlying rural areas also. That was last night. Some of them were down for several hours before light could get there because storms had hit all over to get the power back on. The water control facilities are another issue that we look at. As you'll see in your report, I have a report from the water treatment plant, Mr. Scott Keaton in Iowa Falls. I have copied and pasted that in there. Also a report from Hubbard on what they've been doing with their water treatment and water facilities. We're down to debris removal. Again, I have a lot of debris. We have a lot of debris in the county that we need to be figuring out how we're going to get that cut up, how we're going to get that moved, how we're going to burn it, and what is there. I then will open it up to some of the other department heads dealing with the disaster to give their report, and then I'd like the board, we just do a little discussion and set some priorities and talk about our challenges and solutions so we as a team could move forward from here.
Okay, thank you. Is that enough to justify the meeting?
What's that?
I'm asking Randy.
It's directed to me. Roxanne, I know I have been asked by Lance, and I think Brian might have also had a concern in regard to having a special meeting. Part of the reason here, let's put it this way, if this request had been made on any day except for a Tuesday, you might not get grilled so much, but the question is somewhat along the lines why this couldn't wait until the regular meeting on Wednesday. Now, the board issuing the disaster declaration, that is the first step, is it not, in the process of obtaining state funds, potentially federal funds on down the road? Can you explain?
The disaster proclamation is the first step in freeing up the first level resources, which would be state resources. So if the governor approves the proclamation, then he can release state resources such as DOT trucks, DOT equipment that can help us with debris removal. Also, it can be the National Guard for manpower can be used for that. So we're really looking at right now is that manpower and equipment that we need, that we are beyond our capabilities here. Then the next step would be if they state us a presidential declaration, and then they would come in, and if we would get a presidential, then we would be needing to track everything, which I've discussed with everybody, because there could be reimbursements for the money spent on this disaster by federal funds.
Okay. Could that state action or action by the governor take place fairly quickly?
Yes.
Okay, so could the difference in 16 hours make a difference?
I'm hoping so, but I cannot say what the governor's office will do. I can say I can get it to the state emergency management office. They will get it to the governor. That is just the track, the liaisons that we do. That's the way it works.
Now, in regard to other matters, does this proclamation allow you to do more locally?
No, I have the authority to do more, or what I need to do here locally by my commission. Okay, so my commission governs what I do locally. This is asking, again, saying we need some resources. We're beyond our local capabilities. And that's where my authority stops, local capabilities.
Now, I believe I've heard you state something just a little while ago as well. Besides this proclamation, did I hear correctly that you're looking for some guidance from the Board of Supervisors?
Yes. I want to do some, I would like to talk about, again, priorities once they get the briefing from everybody, we'll look at our priorities and see where we move forward.
And do you believe that would be crucial to take place today as opposed to tomorrow?
I believe that the sooner the better. As these things move along, the sooner we can get that done and get the help out there, the better. It is within the code of Iowa. I've seen this happen for emergency situations, that we do have some ability in emergencies to handle these kind of things.
I believe with that explanation, that good cause has been stated for having less than the full 24-hour notice and posting of any agenda.
Thank you. Thanks, Roxanne, too.
Thank
But
you.
I just want to make sure we're straight before
I
we go
totally
forward.
understand.
Wes?
Yep, it's been a busy week and a half. We've shut parks down, we've opened parks back up, we've shut them back down. They're gonna stay shut for a while now. Some of the areas, or a lot of the areas that we have underwater, we can't assess the full damage till the water recedes, because I'm not sure, like the camping RV boxes, if water has gotten into those, all those components inside that box will have to be changed. Some of those boxes have been through 3 or 4 floods, so we might be looking at new boxes as well, which have already been replaced by FEMA once, so I'm not sure.
It'll still be a different disaster.
It'll be a
so-
different disaster.
Yep, we'll
Okay.
still put it in.
I think the hardest areas that are going to get hit are the ones obviously down by Union. I was down there this morning taking pictures, and I can send these your way. These are of Daisy Long and Brecky Park, in that area down there. The water levels this morning were even higher than they were in '08, which I didn't think was possible. I couldn't believe it when I got there this morning. The amount of water. It is receding though. The guys were down there this afternoon and they said it is receding. We're not sure. Like I said, obviously we're going to need a lot of rock replaced, because where it did come over into the parks, a lot of times it would current across the roads, and it's going to displace all the gravel on our roads, and camping pads as well. Daisy Long, if you can see, those camping pads are underwater. Any kind of little current will carry all that rock off those camping pads, so all those will have to be re-rocked. I'm not sure if the roofs and those structures need to be replaced. If there was some hail in that area, we'll have to get up in the roofs and see if the shingles are curling, and if we need to replace roofs on shelter houses, bath houses, things like that. The camp host's camper, he was getting campers out of there, and you can see his awning pretty much got ripped off of his camper while he was trying to get people out of there. He's actually got pictures of funnel clouds above the campground that he's got on his phone, so yeah, I saw those. So they definitely were having an event going on down there. At this point, I can't give you a firm dollar estimate what we're looking at for damage, but it's going to be a lot of rock, and then there's a lot of trees that need to be cut up and removed and hauled away.
And I believe we're gonna have impacts from county roads similar. The other thing this year, again, as Wes stated, with it being a little different in 2008, my concern is even the underneath of that, the infrastructure would have to be checked, because that's like D65.
D65, the county, the
Yeah.
engineer has told me he thinks he's going to lose the road.
Yeah, and so those kind of things, I think we're gonna see a little even higher levels of damage than you've seen here in Hardin County for a while with our secondary road system. Again, we're trying to stay on top of it, barricade it. It's probably why they're not here. They're out, they're very busy, county engineer, I totally understand that. And just to confirm what Wes was saying, I'd given you a map, and the National Weather Service this afternoon, actually, they were down doing a preliminary assessment of the damages, and not just our county, Story, Tamus, and different Central Iowa counties got hit. And we have been confirmed to have an EF1 tornado that touched down around 300th Street and T Avenue on Sunday evening, and tracked a few miles over through Shepherd Cemetery and down through a residence down there lower on that road. So we have had some extensive damage from these storms.
The other thing is this has impacted our biggest revenue weekend of the year, unfortunately. This is when I bring the most camping revenue in. People would camp for the whole week. So that's definitely going to hurt my revenues for the year that I have budgeted and budgeted for the year. So I want to make you aware of that as well. not a good deal. Because it not only impacted one campground, it impacted, both campgrounds are impacted by it. So,
Can we change it from boating or from camping to boating?
Bringing ATVs and
yeah, that might be an alternative we can do.
You have to put our hookups in about 10 feet tall. You have to bring your camper and a step ladder just to hook your...
So,
little pontoons.
yeah.
Isn't it amazing the track of the tornado, how it
Went
clipped
right next to the road.
7 farmsteads? If it had been
This is
just a
a-
quarter mile north, it wouldn't hit any farmsteads.
And I'm the one that put that line on there for them, because for them to come out, you have to really show them some initial, there's so much impact. So
Mhm.
I had taken some damage photos of that area and then uploaded it for them, and then I took this map off our GIS and drew the red line, because this is the road that I went down and tracked the damage from where it began to where it quit, and
Hmm.
it was right on with them. It was a very narrow, they said track, very narrow track, but it was an EF one.
Besides
Is
north,
that on
correct?
Sunday, or-
That's north.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Are you with Shepherd Cemetery down there?
I know where Shepherd
kinda
Cemetery is, I'm
northwest
just-
of Union, yeah.
About 1997 or 87, 88, 89, one went through about the same path.
Really?
You're
Oh.
too young to have stories like that. I remember when.
There are actually, and
It was
I
a little
have,
farther west, but it went right down that same straight line.
following up on that, Lance, I did check, because going forward with this, there are some cemetery damages that can be covered, but not private. Talking with Jessica, she did find out that is a private, what do you call that, society-owned? Society-owned cemetery, but there are gravestones down underneath those trees. So there is gonna be some damage to some markers and some of that stuff there. Still working with them, even trying to get some volunteers to help get in there and get that cleaned up and get off of there. And then hopefully we can find somebody willing to volunteer to help set up those markers and that, because I don't know what kind of funding they have for that. They only carry liability insurance. So.
I don't know.
So these are some of the impacts. I guess I would like to request that the board sign the declaration that I could submit to the state and see if we could get some resources in here to help us out with the recovery.
Well, any other questions? I can ask for a motion.
I go ahead and make the motion to move forward on the declaration for Hardin County and to authorize this to be signed by our chairman and vice chair for Roxanne to move on to the governor so we can get more help in there. I'm really glad that nobody was hurt. This was a pretty major event, and I think people coming through this are probably some of them are feeling pretty lucky right now that they didn't get hurt. So I guess I would just caution that people, when we move forward, to move forward cautiously. It's just stuff now, and let's not get anybody hurt on the cleanup. So, but I would make that motion that we go ahead and move forward with this if it helps get things done quicker.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Ron?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Lance?
Aye. Motion carries. Eric can ask for an adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.